I've never seen anything. Fires were this close to the cars. People left their cars on Palisades Drive, burning up the hillside, the palm trees, everything's going. And the wind and the firemen are great, but you can only do so much.
But back to our breaking news this hour. Los Angeles is under a state of emergency as firefighters race to stop two fast-moving wildfires. Strong winds in Southern California, they are making the Palisades fire spread at an alarming rate. And the concern is that it's going to get even worse on Wednesday, according to fire officials on the ground. Local officials adding that at least 30,000 residents have been evacuated from their homes already. And there's concern that there'll be need for more evacuations. The Los Angeles Fire Department is even asking off-duty members to potentially help push back some of the flames. In the meantime, the Eaton fire roared to life just a few hours ago, quickly burning an area larger than 150 American football fields. Both fires are at 0% containment so far. CNN has several crews across the region trying to work as safely as possible to bring you the very latest pictures on the ground and the stories of those affected, including from inside the areas torched by the wildfires. CNN's Natasha Chen and her team captured some of this video leaving their location in Santa Monica, California earlier today. With a lot of experience on board, she says that it was, quote, the most terrifying exit that we've made from any assignment in a long time. Here's more of what she saw.
We were there from about noon until about just after 6 p.m. local time when we had finished our last live shot. And I guess what we hadn't quite surmised was exactly how bad it had gotten south of us on Pacific Coast Highway. And that's the way we came in to get to our spot to cover the fire. And we knew that we had heard reports that the flame jumped the highway, but I guess we had not seen with our own eyes just exactly what that meant and what that looked like for us getting out of there. So at the end of the night, you know, we pulled up to a fire truck and kind of waved at a firefighter and said, hey, where do you think is the best way for us to leave, to get out of here? He kind of shook his head at us and said, well, I guess you go south. And so that's what we did. Pretty quickly realizing that there were flames on both sides of the highway. There were embers flying over the lanes of the highway. I spotted an emergency vehicle and decided our best bet is to just follow that car, to follow right behind him as closely as possible. If he's driving, then he's probably knowing the best way out. So as we're driving behind this emergency vehicle, I'm hearing an explosion on my right. There are houses on fire right up against the road on the left. And as I mentioned, embers flying. And so at this point, Rosemary, I'm just holding my breath. And I can feel the heat from inside the car, just watching the embers fly across the windshield. So not ideal. In that kind of you know, we get put on a lot of risky assignments, and in this situation, we had to make a calculated risk for the best way to leave. And I think, you know, thankfully we got out of there and we got a real look at just the level of destruction and really the fear that a lot of those residents might be feeling if they're looking at those images on the news. If they've evacuated, I can't imagine. They're wondering if their house is the next one on fire, if they have anything to go home to.
Our thanks to Natasha and her team. Joining me now is Ariel Cohen, meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service in Los Angeles. Ariel, we are so lucky to have you right now. We know you guys are extremely busy, but if you could just help us and our viewers around the world really understand what this combination of different factors has been that made this fire get so bad in the first place and affect tens of thousands of residents.
First of all, I want to say that this is a very heartbreaking situation. It is incredibly sad to see what society is going through during this exceptionally destructive event. I can't emphasize it enough. On behalf of the National Weather Service, our hearts go out to everyone who is being impacted by these fires. You know, we're in the midst of a destructive windstorm right now, a once in a decade or 2 decade type of wind event. with winds now gusting upwards of nearly 100 miles per hour across the San Gabriel Mountains and the nearby foothills, and then also across the Santa Monica Mountains, extending across parts of the Los Angeles Basin area where we're having trees coming down, significant structural damage already occurring, and it will only get worse overnight. And then with the very dry air mass that settled over the area, a very rare volatile combination of parameters has come together to fuel the explosive development of horrific wildfires across the Los Angeles area, all the way towards the coast, across the Santa Monica Mountains and towards Malibu. This is a particularly dangerous situation, a rare category of red flag warning that we use for the worst of the worst conditions that can come together to create the rapid spread of fires that spot miles in advance and spread rapidly, raging paths of destruction. We're seeing that come to fruition. And, when we're making these forecasts, when we're making these messages, these correspond to real world impacts. And it's so sad to see what's going on. And we urge everyone to stay at a high state of readiness as we head through the overnight hours into tomorrow, as this will only get worse.
It is absolutely heartbreaking, the idea that the worst could possibly still be ahead for so many people, Ariel. And we certainly join you in wishing so many of these people just a safe way out. I wonder, some of the surrounding regions, the area. For those viewers that are watching, those viewers who are listening right now that perhaps have not been evacuated but may have to make that decision, what are some of those surrounding regions around where the fire is located right now? Those people that really should make sure that their phones are on if they possibly make it a few hours of sleep tonight.
We have destructive winds going on all the way from the Glendora, Claremont area, all the way through Monrovia, Altadena, Pasadena, up through the San Fernando community, then extending through the Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills, greater Hollywood area, through the Santa Monica Mountains, all the way to Malibu. It's a very large footprint, all the way Griffith Park, thinking of a few other areas as well, Echo Park, Elysian Park area, and everywhere across the San Gabriel Valley, San Fernando Valley, Calabasas, Segura Hills area, western parts of LA Basin, Malibu Coast, and throughout the Santa Monicas. You need to be at a high state of readiness throughout all of the overnight hours into tomorrow, and have multiple ways to receive life-saving evacuation notice from local law enforcement as well as emergency management. You may be seconds away from having to save your life when those orders come. Take them seriously. This is a deadly situation.
Ariel, thank you so much for joining us. You go down that list. It is clear there's a potential for millions of Californians to be affected throughout the night. So certainly important to continue to monitor. So thank you and the rest of the experts there at the National Weather Service for keeping us up to speed. Good luck tonight.
Stay safe, everyone.